Okay, so here's a question you may never have been asked. Are you antihistamine? No, I know that that's what the doctors prescribe for you, but what about the histamines themselves? Sherry Torkos is here, who happens to be a holistic pharmacist, talking about why it is that you ought to think about being antihistamine. What are they?
So histamines are chemicals that our body naturally produces in response to allergy symptoms. So if you have hay fever or allergies to pet dander, your body will produce this chemical histamine, and it causes your tissues to swell, congestion, runny nose. And so when people think of histamines, they think of that. They get an antihistamine in the pharmacy to stop those symptoms. But what most people don't realize is that histamines are also present in a lot of commonly eaten foods. And if you can't break them down, they can cause horrible symptoms from migraine headaches to hives, facial flushing, dizziness, racing heart, upset stomach.
We're about to give you some bad news.
And then good news.
Because we're first of all going to show you some of the things that you might want to avoid if you want to avoid the symptoms that Sherry was just talking about. For example.
Okay, so foods that are high in histamine include fermented beverages such as wine, beer, even healthy beverages such as kefir.
That's all the worst news in the world.
Well, I have good news coming up. One sec. So yogurt, coffee, citrus fruit, bread, pickled vegetables, even your aged meats, cheese, olives, dried fruits, and nuts. So histamine, you can see, is in a wide range of foods. And it's not histamine that's the problem. The problem is if you don't have enough of an enzyme to break down histamine, then you get those symptoms of the headaches, the flushing, the hives, the upset stomach, racing heart.
So do we just completely check these out of our diet?
No, you don't have to do that. So if you have a histamine intolerance, if you find that when you eat these foods, you get those symptoms, the headache, the flushing,
yes,
you could have a deficiency of an enzyme needed to break down the histamine. And the enzyme is called DAO, and that's it here. And it stands for diamine oxidase. So if you do not have enough of this naturally occurring enzyme in your body to break down histamine, you can do two things. You can either avoid taking or eating those foods, or you could take the DAO enzyme just before you eat these foods or drink these beverages. And it's something fairly new in North America. It was available in Europe for a long period of time, fairly new, so a lot of people may not have heard about it. But if you think of it in the same terms as lactose intolerance, if you can't drink milk or eat cheese because you have a lactose intolerance, many people will take an enzyme called lactase before they have those foods so that they can break it down.
So does this come from health food stores?
Yeah, you can probably get it in health food stores, but online is really the best way to access it and also to read more about it. If you go to there's a website, daodeficiency.org, but the brand name of it is called Umbrellex, and this is actually a food-grade DAO enzyme. So you would take it about 15 to 20 minutes before you have your aged meats and cheese, your pizza, your beer, your wine, and that allows you to eat those foods without getting the unpleasant symptoms of histamine intolerance.
I'm getting to like Sherry more all the time. Yeah. By the way, this is the only guest I've ever had in the 172 years that I've been talking to people on the air. The only guest that is a pomegranate pusher. I mean, as I've been reading about all of these things, pomegranates keep coming up.
Yeah, pomegranates are fantastic because they're rich in a lot of antioxidants. They are a bit of a fuss to husk and get the seeds out, but once you get past that, think about adding pomegranates. The reason I have pomegranates, onions, chicken, and olive oil here, these foods will naturally help your body increase the amount of DAO, the diamine oxidase. In fact, olive oil can boost it up by about 500%. So that can make a significant difference. If you have histamine intolerance, consuming these foods can help you again by being able to properly break down histamine. You know, as I was mentioning before we went on today, I found out about this whole subject, very relevant and near and dear to my heart because I have celiac disease, a gluten intolerance, and people that have celiac, irritable bowel, Crohn's, colitis, leaky gut syndrome are at a much greater likelihood of having a DAO deficiency and also histamine intolerance.
Okay,
so that's
very quickly, because you're an East Coast lady, where do these folks get more information about this?
You can check out my website, sherrytorkos.com. You can also look at DAO deficiency, so DAOdeficiency.org.
And you can also check in, as always, at aztv.com.
That's
we
right.
give it all to you, including histamines every once in a while.